So to start with, you're giving this a lot of help. So I'm just when the environment resets itself, I'm prodding the cube just in front of the gripper arm, as close as I can get it without having the ruler interfering while the episode runs. And the reason I'm doing this is because there's actually no reward function for the gripper getting closer to the cube. So it's going to have to discover that kind of behavior on its own, that when it's close to the cube, that's when it starts to see the reward of pushing the cube towards the goal. And so by being generous with the resets, we're going to go right now. By being generous with the resets, I'm like letting it discover that reward faster. And you just got to do this at the kind of beginning of training for a while until you start to see it like actually, move towards the cube when it needs to. Right, so this is just after the first set of updates, after the first rollouts that I showed you in the last section. And you can already see that the behavior is different. So the robot arms, the agent seems to have learned not to hit the table, but it's doing something else which is wrong, which is going up. And then it's going out of bounds. Okay, so this is the next set of rollouts. And now the robot's doing something different yet again. It's not going straight up, it's doing some sort of dance. Sometimes moving the right sort of direction, but that could just be random. And at this point, I'm still going to give it a lot of help with the resets. I'm just going to make sure the cube's right up against the robot so it can learn that moving into the cube is the right thing to do. So this is 5-10 minutes later. I'm still helping it a bit. But it's getting to the point where it looks like it could succeed. There we go, it's just succeeded. So I'm helping it less, basically. Usually I'll jump in. See, when the cube's in the middle like it is here, maybe it's a bit too difficult. Let's see. No, that was actually okay. I don't know. I guess use your best judgment about whether to jump in or not. You just want it to basically learn to discover that it needs to get the arm to the cube before it starts to see any reward signal. That's the whole point of the help. Okay, so this is humming along quite nicely now. So I'm going to keep this video short and just tell you where you can kind of go from here. So obviously you want the success rate to get higher. And so that's just achieved by, waiting it out, giving it some help where appropriate, potentially, to discover certain reward signals. And then you can make the problem harder. So like pulling this rail this way and pulling that rail that way makes the problem significantly harder because the cube can end up like out here where like even if it's pushed across to the goal region, it needs to be pushed back down into the center to get into the goal region. And also that's just on the edge of the robot's workspace. So the robot needs to kind of like, see how the gripper is always pointing down? Well, it actually needs to point the gripper forward and kind of hook the cube back in, which is hard. And then there's also some really awkward maneuvers here where the cube's on this side. So with some persistence, I've seen it achieve, fairly good success rate even with that setup, but it's a lot harder to get. So I'm interested to see what you guys can do. And then obviously you can come up with all sorts of your own variations on the task to make it more difficult and more impressive.